003 here today, and today I want to talk to you guys about the concept behind the rifleman in a militia. And what I'm getting by that, I'm not going by Army standards or anything like that, or Marine standards. I'm just going by what I've seen, what I've been doing in the militia, just to give kind of a general idea for somebody that might be looking to join a militia, or try to give some advice to some starting out militias, because I've been in the militia community and training with them for over 5 years now. I just kind of wanted to give my experience and what I've done over the years, and kind of just give some baseline for maybe what you guys might want to do, and just kind of give a baseline for what a basic rifleman in a militia, and I'm using that term loosely here, should be capable and be as a standardized training concept. So first off, the rifleman in a militia is going to be pretty much your primary fighting force. It's going to be pretty much the guy both generally trained in your basic equipment and running your most basic equipment. He's not going to be running anything specialized like a precision rifle. He's not going to be running anything with a huge amount of magazines like a quote-unquote gunner, if you will. So kind of similar to how this guy is dressed right here is how your kind of standard militiaman was going to be dressed. But you're going to be capable and wanting to be capable of engaging anywhere between 0 to 300 yards with your basic iron sights, similar to this rifle right here. Now, sure, having a scope and everything is nice and fancy, but you want to be able to be trained and be efficient with basic iron sights. Just as a quid pro quo, just kind of a thing that I like to do is whenever I get a rifle, I like to get trained on it with good iron sights and then move up to getting a scope for it. Because heck, some of you might not have the money to go and spend on a $1,000 optic, all those gadgets and everything, because you don't really need them. If all you need is to be able to do is just engage and cover your guys, nothing wrong with having just good basic iron sights. And on top of that, your standard loadout, kind of similar to as I was going on with this guy here, you're going to want to carry anywhere from around 120, depending on what type of weapon you're using. If you're using a battle rifle, you're going to be limited on ammunition just due to the overall weight and the actual magazine capacity, but anywhere between 120 rounds to 210 rounds of ammunition. Now that kind of goes in between if you're using an AK, a AR-15, all the way down to a G3, a PTR, a FAL, or a M1A, just kind of a variant. Like if you're stuck with 20 round magazines, you're going to be kind of using the 210 if you're, not 210, 120, and then if you're using something with a 30 round magazine capacity, you're probably going to want to go with the 210, just as a basic guideline. Now that's just how I run it, what I've been doing, and a good round out that I've seen, but just as a baseline. Now I'm going to kind of get on to the sub-roles that there are to a rifleman and what kind of the duties that some riflemen will do. The first off is going to be the team leader, and you're hopefully that the team leader is going to be somebody that's gone through, if he's not prior military, he's gone through a tactical training course where he's learned your basic formations, he's done reactive contact drills, communication under fire, that type of thing, just as a kind of a baseline. If he hasn't gone through that, it would be nice for you guys to at least try to read up on some books like these ones right here, just basic U.S. Army Small Unit Tactics book, or Contact, which is a tactical manual by Max Velocity. Both of these are really good books. I can just recommend both of them to you if you are looking for a good training book or a training manual. But if not, if you don't want to spend the money on it, you can find hundreds of manuals online to do. The one thing you want to do is just to be sure that you get out with your guys and to practice those formations, to practice those drills, and especially practice trying to communicate with each other while engaging a target, even if it's multiple targets, just because the hardest thing to do is try to communicate with somebody if you don't have a radio or something 25 yards that way and you guys are actively shooting and engaging a target. And by that I'm just saying your stationary metal targets, so I'm not trying to say anything from what I've done. That's just what I've done. I just know that it's hard whenever you're trying to communicate. You have ear pro, he has ear pro. If you don't have radio communication between you and him, or if you guys are even further distances, it's really hard to communicate and get that order as a team leader to somebody else. which is where that training and muscle memory really comes in handy. The second one is kind of your combat engineer, and right now, like I said, I'm using these in kind of a very broad spectrum here. So pretty much your combat engineer, if anything, is going to be the guy maybe carrying a crowbar or a hammer or something. That way he can help negotiate through your heavier obstacles, if you will. He may carry some rappelling rope if you guys have to rappel. He may carry a shotgun because he's your breacher guy. Just as kind of a master key, if you will. That's pretty much the broad spectrum from what I've seen. Now, he may have some specialized tools in case you're actually having to constantly build and reinforce something. He might be a construction worker that just knows how his way around tools and everything. But just kind of a good spectrum is to have somebody that's good and trained in how to use multiple different types of tools and how to kind of break down walls. Just as a broad spectrum here. The next one is going to be pretty important. It's going to be pretty much your combat medic, if you will. Now, I know that in the civilian world, there's not a lot of combat medic training. Like myself, I've only been through a basic EMT course and your basic BLS and CPR. So right now, that nowhere near qualifies me to be a combat medic. So right now, that's just kind of a broad spectrum there. You want somebody that's going through a couple of trauma courses, knows how to treat GSWs, knows how to treat mass trauma, massive lacerations, and knows how to carry those and make sure that he's constantly recycling out, even if it's good equipment, that he has all the proper tools and the proper equipment to treat such wounds. Now, if he doesn't, maybe you guys can get a little bit of a system going to where you can help afford this equipment, maybe by having, I don't know, just basic donations to your group by the members to help fund. And because one of the things, even if you don't have a lot of members, having somebody that's medically trained is crucial. Just as a FY to me. And he will be pretty much a basic rifleman because he's got to carry a med pack and he's also got to carry the extra medical equipment on him as well. And like I said, I'm just kind of breezing through these and giving broad spectrums to each one. If you guys feel like you have more information that you want to put it down below in the comments so that people can read it. So that if you guys, because like I said, I'm just a stupid civilian. Right now, I'm just giving you guys what I've experienced in the militia and kind of some advice to what I've seen and what I've done. And the last one is going to be pretty much more of a position rather than a overall role, but it's still important. It's your point man. Your point man is going to be very good with a compass and land navigation. Now, I'll admit myself, the one thing that I lack is really good land navigation. I'm constantly working on and trying to increase my skills with land navigation, but that's just one thing where I've always struggled with it. And that's why I'm getting manuals, I'm getting out, I'm trying to work my Lindsay compass, my proper map work and everything else, but that's one of the areas where I definitely lack is proper land nav. Now, the last one I've kind of touched on into it is training. Now, it's really hard to get proper training by just going to the range, shooting at 100 yards, and then calling it a day. You want to actually, if you can, try to go to a carbine course, learn how to operate your rifle, learn the malfunctions that happen with your rifle, and if anything, go to a FTX where you have somebody that's going to one of those classes teaching the whole group what he's learned. That's what we've done in the past because I know how expensive some of those courses are and how they can get to the travel and everything else. So just as a suggestion, try to actually go to a carving course, put those rounds through your rifle and learn how your rifle works and what happens to your rifle when it doesn't work and how to clear those malfunctions and get your rifle up and running again. And then that goes towards having proper qualifications for your members too. The one thing that I see lacking in a lot of militias is standardized. And by that I mean the members don't have a standardized training regimen. It's pretty much, oh, we'll get out, we'll do whatever we do this weekend, and that'll be it. But you don't have these members actually qualifying on land navigation, qualifying on their rifle. It's, oh yeah, he's good, he can shoot out to 25 yards. But does he know how to shoot out to 300 yards, 200 yards, back to 100, to 25, back to 50, on simulated stress? Because I know it's really hard to simulate stress. A lot of it gets simulated as muscle exhaustion. But either way, just doing some type of training to kind of make a qualification with you on your rifle. And the best way to qualify And what I've done is to qualify using your iron sights. Now, sure, it's nice to qualify using your optic if you can, but I feel it's just real nice to go out and try to qualify on your iron sights and really test your skill with your irons. And the last one I'm going to really touch on really lightly because I've done a lot of videos on it in the past, and that's just equipment. Pretty much you're going to want to have your basic camis, if you will. If you're going to want to go for more guerrilla warfare, you're not going to want to dress in full tactical clothing. You're going to want to stay pretty much, I hate using the term, but gray man, to where you can engage just like what happens over in the Middle East, where the Hajis are engaging the U.S. soldiers, and then all of a sudden they just disappear into the village as if there's nothing else, because they really don't put on a whole outfit and everything to be in their combat. They just really just grab their AK, grab an LBV, if that, or just shove a magazine on a pocket or something like that, and then that's it. Then they hit, run, back to business in the village. That's it. Either that or they're out at night planting IEDs. So that's what, because guerrilla warfare is gruesome, just from, and I'm not saying that I've experienced it, just from what I've read and the history of it, all the way going back into the very long history, going back to the Vietnam War and everything else. So that's pretty much, because there's no way that us militiamen are going to be able to stand against a standing army. So we kind of have to fight unfair, dirty, and guerrilla warfare tactics. So tactical clothing may not be the best option, but if you want to have uniformity, I do understand. But having some type of load-bearing equipment that's quality, I can't stress quality enough. I know it's expensive, but you don't have to buy the most premium stuff even if you get it used. Having some type of good quality load-bearing equipment to carry your magazines that's not going to break over a long period of time, especially in a shit hits the fan scenario, to where you're having to constantly test your gear. It's constantly being out in all 4 seasons, constantly being rubbed in the mud, constantly being rained on. That wears a lot of the stitching, and it also wears on a lot of the fabric. So getting good quality gear definitely is something that I can stress enough. So thanks for watching. I want to know what you guys think. If you guys have any other opinions down below, please put it down there. I just wanted to kind of get a general idea out to you guys, and generalized concept for kind of getting a basic rifleman set up in a militia. Now, like I said, this is just what I've experienced and what I've kind of done in the past. But training is what I can't stress enough. Especially try to find some way to get some type of qualification schedule written up is something that I just can't stress enough. It just looks much better for you guys, and it also makes your members know that they're capable of doing what they need to do with their rifle. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.